Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make Patrick's starfish. We're going to make him on a single loom, and we're going to need some googly eyes. If you don't have googly eyes, it doesn't really matter. You can use beads or bands, but if you do have them, it does tend to look a little better. The size, let me show you the size that I'm going to be using. These are I'd say they're under 1 millimeter, but they're a little bit more than 5, so I'd say they're the 8 millimeter googly eyes. Okay, I'm going to be using, these are actually a Lucky Loom sort of salmony coloured pink, which is what I'm using, but you can use any kind of pink band. I'm also going to be using Rainbow Loom opaque yellow and purple. To do the shorts, I'm going to use a couple of black bands to do his mouth. As I said, single loom. We're going to start by making his arms and his legs, and so for that you'll need your loom in the offset configuration, which means columns 1 and 3 are slightly lower than column 2. The open part of the loom is facing towards you, or the arrow is facing towards you. We're going to be double banding. That means you're going to take 2 bands together at the same time and place them on your pegs like that. It gives your figure a more robust feel to it. So we're going to start by doing an arm, which will be all of the pink. So we'll start with 3 bands like this, and we'll come down another. I'm going to come down 5 pair in the middle here. If you feel that they're twisted, just get your hook and twirl it around the inside of the band, and it will sort of untwist them for you, which is nice. Now we're going to take another pair, and we're going to stretch from this 3rd peg here down to this peg here, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th peg in the centre. Again, a pair, so you're stretching like that, and for the other side as well. We're going to use a single band as our end cap. Let's take a single band on your hook and wrap it once and twice and place it on the end here. And we're going to do crossover bands. You're going to take a single band, stretch it into a figure 8, loop it on itself, and we're going to be doing them in an upside down triangle this way. So we're going to go across these 3 pegs here, and then the same above. Okay, now we're going to need 2 of these, so you can move your loom up and make another one here. I have another one already made, so if you need to pause the video to lay out this setting below as well, go for it. There is room. When you're ready, we're going to loop this up, grabbing the 2 bottom bands under those the end cap there, and loop up again. Now we're going to take the top 2 and loop to their corresponding side and across here. When you have it looped up like this, you're going to put it on a holding hook until we're ready. If you don't have a holding hook, you can use a chopstick, a toothpick, you can uncurl a paper clip, you can use the prong of a fork, anything really. Some of those bands that you buy that have the nasty horrible plastic hooks in them, they're really good to keep, don't throw them away. Use those as your holding hook. Stretch this into shape, and there we have 2 arms. Okay, just keep those ready. We're now going to work on legs. Now I've got 1 leg made already. It's exactly the same layout, but we're going to add the colour for his shorts. So again, leave your loom in this particular configuration, and I'm going to take 2 yellow. I'm using yellow and purple. You can use lime green, it really doesn't matter. You are double banding. So do 2 either side here. And it doesn't matter where you put the purple and the yellow, you just need to mix it up a bit. And then we're coming down here. 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, and 1 more. Oh, silly me, I'm sorry. Let's take those off. We do these as the shorts, and then we move to his skin tone, which is the pink. Sending on a bum steer here, and we do 3 in the skin tone. And we're also going to do the stretching ones across the diagonal as skin tone. So they go from this second peg here, up here, all the way up to here, and from here to here. We need an end cap on here, single band, wrap once and twice, and place that there. And then we need to have our crossover bands here and here. So we're going to use yellow, take it, figure 8, stretch it into a loop on itself like that. And then this one I'm just going to place across, I'm not going to loop it. Alright, so let's loop this up. Again, you're going to need 2. You can fit another one down at the bottom of your loom. Dig down past the end cap to grab those 2 bottom pink bands, and we loop up. Loop to the corresponding side. And then again we're going to hold it on a holding hook, toothpick, chopstick, whatever you have available. Spread it out a little bit, stretch it into shape, make sure the loops are in the right order. There we go. So we have 2 little legs. Now this is the fun part where we're actually going to do the body on a single loom, but if you have a look, we have 5 columns. So you're right, we're going to use the move it forward technique. We're going to change the configuration of our loom, push out your middle column and move it so that you're in standard configuration. All of your columns are going to be the same height. Okay, let's move things out of the way a little bit. Now we have to lay our bands for this. We're going to start with the pink, and again we're double banding. We're going to start from this column here on the right and move down 1 and 2 and 3 4 and 5. Now at this point we're going to come down 1, 2 and 3. From our 3rd peg we're going to stretch a band all the way down to here. Alright, like that. This is going to be the start of his head. We're going to have another one here. And underneath it. And usually I would do this on an extended loom, but I know a lot of people don't have more than 1 loom, so we're trying to condense things, and it's a little tricky at times. So 1 and 2. Now at this point where we've come down 1 and 2. We now stretch from here to here. Okay, and then we come down here, 1, 2 and 3. 1. Again, if you feel that it's twisted, just run your hook through the inside of it. Now with the pink, I'm stopping here and we're going to move to our yellow and our purple as well. So what we're going to do is lay 2 yellow here. Now we need to move across this way when we're ready, but obviously, let me show you, across this way. We're not ready as yet because there is nothing over there. So we're going to lay our band for down here, but we're also going to lay a pair here doing nothing. So they're just going to sit there for the minute. All right, we'll take a pair of purple because we're doing his pants, and I'm going to put those here. All right, and then I'm going to take a pair of yellow and I'm going to stretch them from that center peg to that purple peg. This one's going to do the same the other side. All right, I'm going to take another pair of yellow and I will stretch those from here to here. All right, now we don't have to worry about stretching anything just here at this stage because we're going to be moving this column over and we'll be able to fit things in. All right, let's do some crossover bands. We need a yellow from here to here. This will stretch across to a 3rd column. We're going to do another yellow from here to here. Now, these bands can stretch across 5 columns, so we don't have to add extra crossover bands. We're just going to add these. We'll put a single, and the crossover bands are singles. So put a single, a single, a single. At this point here, what we're going to do is take a single and stretch it like this so that it's a triangular shape like that. Okay, and then for the head bit, we're going to take a single band, stretch it, figure 8, loop it on itself, and do the same. We're going to stretch it here. This is going to be stretched across to another one over here. All right, I'm going to do the same here. Single, figure 8, and you're putting it over the top of this one in front of it. Okay, like that. We are going to have eyes, and they're going to fit on this particular section here. I'm not going to put them there just yet. We will wait for that. Now we need to put an arm and a leg on. So I'm going to take my first arm. Now if you have a look, you've got 4 little loops, you've got 4 little loops and 4 little loops. So you've got 3 sets of 4 little loops. All right, you're going to put 4 little loops here, 4 little loops here, and 4 little loops here. So our first 4 little loops, make sure you've got them correctly, will go there. Moving your loom around, you're going to take the next 4 little loops and they will go on that second one. Push things down so you don't lose them. Those last 4 little loops are going to go here. All right, that's important that you add those on. Now we're going to do a leg, and again we're going to put one of the 4 little loops here, 4 little loops here, and 4 little loops here. I'm going to move these bands out of the way because I'm sort of shoving them all over the place. Okay, so 4 little loops, 4 little loops, 4 little loops. We'll put those first 4 little loops here. Get my hook out. Then I'm going to push these down so we don't lose them. My next 4 little loops are these yellow ones. I'm going to push the purple ones out the way. And this can be probably the fiddliest part of the whole lot, actually. So there's those, get that one off, and then the purple ones go on here. I'm going to just make sure that I've got those yellow ones all on nicely. I think I have. Yep, that looks good. So we've got a leg and an arm. The eye is going to go here, as I said, but we're not ready for it just yet. If you're feeling worried that you think you might forget it, well, we can add it, but it's only going to stretch across 2. I'm going to use my googly eyes. I have a metal threader. I made this using a twisty tie, and there is a video on how you can make one with a twisty tie on my tips and tricks playlist. What we're going to do is take a single band, pink, figure 8, loop it on itself, place that through your metal threader like this. We're going to take one of the twisty ties, throw it around, and thread, I'm doing this left-handed, sorry, thread that through. Now I have got these little cuts on the back of my eyes, which makes it easier to thread through. You don't need to have you don't need to buy the ones that have the sew-on ability. If you have a look again in my tips and tricks, you will find that there is a video on how to use a normal googly eye and make 2 little cuts on the back of it so that you convert it into a sew-on, and that works perfectly well. Okay, so now I'm going to thread my other googly eye on, but obviously I've got it through half of it. Alright, I'm going to use a holding hook of sorts. You can use a toothpick or anything really. So I'm holding one googly eye on there. I'm going to thread my metal threader through the other side here. I'm going to hit my camera in the process, sorry about that. So here's my metal threader. I'm going to make sure I'm in the middle because that doesn't look very much in the middle. There we go. And I'm going to thread my other eye onto it. Now the reason that I've looped it on itself makes it tight and difficult to work with. However, we're doing a starfish and the top of his head is, you know, coming in at a point, so you do need for it to be tight. I've put both ends of the loops on there so I don't lose anything, and I'm taking my metal threader and putting it somewhere else. Now the eye is going to go from here across to the 3rd column, which isn't there. So I'm going to take the 2 loops from one side and place, and then I'm going to put the other 2 loops just on this 2nd peg here, just so that I have them in place, and when I'm ready I will stretch that across. Okay, but it's just so it's there. I'm going to move my other arm and leg out the way. We don't need those at the minute. We're going to loop up. Now I don't need to put an end cap here because I've already got this leg that's going to help me act as the end cap. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we're going to hold these 2 out of the way, dig down, and you need to find these bottom 2 yellow ones. When I say bottom 2, they're not the very bottom 2. The very bottom 2 are these. You're looking for these 2 that go at a diagonal. So push your hook in and you're going for those 2 diagonal. So they're underneath the purple bands, but they're not the very bottom 2. You're going to loop those to the side here. Alright, now if you want this to look pretty, you can lift this loop up, lift 2 of these bands up like that, place your band that you're looping up over, and then replace those 2. That will make it look pretty. It doesn't matter if you don't do that. Let's do the same here. We're going for the diagonal bands, which are the 2 top yellow, and you want to make sure that you don't get your crossover band in the way. So the 2 top yellow, here they are. Again, if you want, see how I'm looping it on top here, but if I wanted to, I could lift these 2 for the leg up. You've got your other 2 still there. Place that under and then put the leg on top. Alright, it just gives the trousers a nicer look to them. You don't have to do it, it doesn't matter. We're looping up the pink. If it feels tight, run your hook around the outside of the peg. Find the 2 bottom pink and the 2 bottom pink. Now we're going to loop across here to the side. Now that is everything that we need on our first column. Okay, so what we can do is we can put your finger here to hold it in place. Lift this arm off. Okay, and we're just going to lift this off. And gently does it because you don't want those crossover bands going anywhere. And that is now free to move forward. So take your loom and we will budge our mini base plates forward. And I'm using the back of my Rainbow Loom hook because it has this little base removal tool on it. I'm then going to take this column, this first column off and move it into the next spot, keeping it in line. So it's still got to be in line. So now we can do column number 4. Alright. So we're going to lay our bands for column number 4. Well, the first thing we need to do is stretch another one from here to here so it's a mirror image. You see that? And then we're going to do another 2 down here and 2. Now 4 is we're just going along. I mean, there's not much that we have to do here. We're going to have another 2 that will come out here, but we don't need to place those as yet because we can just keep going down. Now what we will want to do is pull some of these crossover bands over. So pull this one across so that it incorporates the same. Those top 2 bands here, pull those across. Our eyes, now here's our eyes, alright, make sure that we stretch it across and then you're going to make sure that you split that little band. You've got 2, you want 2 above that peg and 2 below, like that, okay? This crossover band will go across. We're going to lay some yellow bands. We're going to do 2 yellow bands here. Now we're going to have 2 purple bands that are going to go across over to the next column. We're not ready for them yet. Let's just leave those sitting there, and what we'll do is we'll take these 2 yellow bands that we've had just sitting here doing nothing and we'll stretch those across. Okay, we're going to stretch our crossover band over and the other crossover band over. Alright, now we're going to loop up this second column so that we can release that from this side and move it here, and then we'll be able to add our arm and leg this side. So what we're going to do, if you pull down here, you will see that we've already looped this bit in, we're at here, these 2 purple bands, we need to loop up, and then we're going to loop the pink bands up, now at this point, again, if you want it to look pretty, lift these 2 that we had looped up, hold them in your hand, loop this side, this one up, and then replace those. And then we're going to keep looping, push things down. You're going for the bottom 2 pink bands. At this point we need to loop this up to here. Alright, so it's a bit of a stretch, but there we go, we've looped that in. We're going to take this one off, okay? Gently does it, you don't want the crossover bands going anywhere. So just ease the bands down so that they're sitting beside the middle column, make sure the crossover bands stay where they're supposed to. You don't want them flying off. Alright, so we've done that. Push everything down. We're going to turn our loom over and move our big base plate like that, and then move your column of pegs again so that it's flush. Alright, now what we're going to do this time, we've come across here, we've got 2 down here, we need to do a two across here. So I'm going to take 2 bands that are tangled up horribly and stretch those from here to here, so it's 1 under the eye. Okay, and we'll stretch those to here. We're going to do 1 pair, 2 pair and 3 pair. We're going to stretch these little purple ones up to here. Move your crossover bands so they incorporate this new column. Alright, now what we need to do is add our arm and our leg. I'm going to turn my hook, my loom around. I'm going to do my arm first. We've got to put 4 little loops, 4 little loops, 4 little loops on these 3 pegs, okay, because it's in line. This is the top bit here. So I'm budging my arms down. I'm going to find my first 4 little loops and they will sit here. My next 4 little loops, stretch them out, they will sit here, and my last 4 little loops will sit here. Push everything down. Okay, so there's his 2 arms. We need to put his leg. Whoa. Let's pretend we're not a spinning top. The leg is the fiddly bit, so we need to put our leg here. Again, we have 4 little loops, 4 little loops, 4 little loops. I'm going to put the first 4 little loops, these happen to be purple, on this centre peg here. Push things down, it's going to get crowded. The next 4 will go on the peg here, and the last 4 on this peg here. Now, as you can see, it's trying to get caught up. Can you see how there's a band here that's getting caught up? Just release that. It's not supposed to be there, it just pushes down here. Alright, what we're going to do is we need to find this horizontal band, okay? It's under these purple ones, so we're going to dig down, and it might be a bit tricky, but we need to find them. So you're going past all those purples, all the additional legs, and we will loop that up. Now remember what I said, we can hold this with our hand, lift those first 2 loops, place that band, those bands there, and place that in its place like that, so that the trousers are going above it. At this point, if you wanted to, you could actually dig down past those purples and grab those 2 bottom yellows and loop these in too. It kind of makes things a bit safer. We're going to dig down here. We're finding these 2 purple horizontals. Make sure you only get the purple. I just got the yellow as well. So there's my purple. I'm going to hold them in my hand, lift these 2 and place the purple down below, and then the 2 yellow on top. I'm going to loop in this yellow here and the pink here, so that things are looking a bit safer. I can loop up a little further here, because this is the end. We're going no further than this, so to loop everything up is not a problem. Now, when we get to about the arm area, let's dig down here, loop up, and I'm going to loop this side one in first, okay, and then I'll loop, oh, I'm telling you fibs, I'm sorry, lift that up. We're not going to loop that side one in, we're looping the one that goes straight up first, and then the arms. So here we go, loop up, make sure that the eyes go on either side of this middle set here. There we are. Loop up here. I'm going to loop this side one, and then I'm going to loop this middle one, and this one. Now I can feel it's tight here, so I'm going to run my hook around the outside of the peg and up here. I'm going to use 2 of the pink bands to tie off with. The reason I picked 2 is that if one breaks, I have the insurance of the other one. So dig my hook down the middle here and pull them through, and I'm going to do a slip knot one over the other like that, and I'm going to use the back of a hook to help me ease this off the loom. If you don't have the googly eyes, you can just use normal seed, e-beads or pony beads or whatever you have really. Bands work just as well. Ease him off the loom. We need to stretch his little legs out a bit so that he's looking like a starfish. Now these bands at the back here, I'm just going to hide down the back under some of the bands here, just so that it's a little bit discreet. I'm not going to pull it too tight because I don't want to misshape his head, but I just want them hidden at the back here where you're not going to notice them. And I don't think it matters that his head can be, a bit funny shaped at the top. Now we need to do a little mouth. Okay, I'm just going to make his arms stick out a bit better. So I'm going to get 2 black bands for his mouth. Okay, so with the mouth, what I'm going to do, I'm going to poke my hook through the back of his face and come out through the centre here. I'm going to take both of those bands and pull them through. Okay, I'm going to split, so I've got one going one side, one going the other side, and I'm kind of holding on to these loops at the back here. I'm going to pick a spot on one side of his face and pull one pair of the black bands through. Oops, I pulled it too far. That was silly of me. Never mind. Go back here. Come here. Pull it through. Now I'm looping these over each other, so it's sort of like a little slip knot. And on the other side, I'm going to do the same. I'm going through the other side of his face here. I'll grab the other side of his mouth, the black band, and pull that through like that. So here's my other side here. And what I'm going to do is get a little pink band, if I can find one. Pull my hook through it like that. I'm going to just go up here to where there's a couple of bands, pull that pink band through and just tie a slip knot like that, and then I'm again going to hide this just under some of the bands at the back of him so that you don't see the tie-off band too much, like that. And there we have my version of Patrick Starfish. I hope you enjoy making him. Take care. Bye bye.